Next we are going to see the third unit, it is stability. So stability is nothing but the stable working condition of a control system is called stability. So every working system is designed to be stable. So the definition of stability: a system is said to be stable if its output is bounded for any bounded input. So a system is said to be stable if its output is bounded for a bounded input. A system is asymptotically stable if in the absence of the input the output tends towards zero irrespective of initial conditions. And a system is asymptotically stable if in the absence of the input the output tends towards zero irrespective of initial conditions. For a bounded input signal, if the output has constant amplitude oscillation, then the system may be stable or unstable. So, for a bounded input signal, if the output has constant amplitude oscillation, the system may be stable or unstable under some limited constraint. Such a system is called limitedly stable or marginally stable systems. If a system output is stable for all variation of its parameters, then the system is called absolutely stable. If a system output is stable for a limited range of variation of its parameters, then the system is called conditionally stable. Okay. So if the parameters of the system is stable for a limited range of variation of if the system output is stable for a limited range of variation of its parameters, then the system is called conditionally stable. Now we are going to see the location of roots on the S-plane for stability. You consider a transfer function and this is the numerator and this is the denominator. So these two are polynomials. So this is the roots of the polynomial. There is s plus z1, s plus z2, s plus z3 up to s plus zm. Similarly, s plus p1, s plus p2, s plus p3 and s plus pn. The numerator, what you are having in the numerator is nothing but zeros, and what you are having in the denominator is nothing called poles. So this m of s can be written as a1 divided by s plus p1 plus a2 divided by s plus p2 plus a3 divided by s plus p3 plus up to an divided by s plus pn. Now we are going to find the transfer function and location of roots on S-plane. So we consider the transfer function m of s is equal to a divided by s plus a. It is having only one pole at s is equal to minus a. Okay. So this is nothing but a pole. It is located at s is equal to minus a. So the impulse response of this is nothing but L inverse of a divided by s plus a. So a is a constant and the inverse Laplace transform of 1 divided by s plus a is nothing but e to the power minus at. So what you are getting is a into e to the power a t. This is a response. Okay. Response is exponentially decaying. So since you are having a term e to the power minus at, it will be exponentially decaying. Next is transfer function and location of roots on S-plane. So here you are having that here the transfer function is m of s is equal to a divided by s minus a. So here you are having a pole at s is equal to a. Okay, a root on real axis. So L inverse of a divided by s minus a. So a is a constant and inverse Laplace transform of 1 divided by s minus a is nothing but e to the power at. So the response is exponentially increasing. Next is you are having a complex conjugate poles. We are having a pole at S plus A plus JB and S plus A minus JB. These are complex conjugate poles. So but these two are lying on the left half of S spline. Okay, since it is S plus A plus JB, this is S plus A plus JB, S plus A minus JB. Okay, so these are the two complex conjugate roots and it lies on the left half of S spline. So when you are taking the inverse Laplace transform, here you will be getting A into e to the power minus A plus JB into T plus A into e to the power minus A minus JB into T. So and while simplification you will be getting 2 into A into e to the power AT into cos BT. So we can write cos BT as sin BT plus 90. And this is nothing but the response of that system. The response is damped sinusoidal, okay, or it is oscillatory, damped oscillatory. Now we are having complex conjugate poles and it is lying on the right half of S spline. And when you are taking the inverse Laplace transform, you are getting 2 into A into e to the power 80 into sin BT plus 90. Here also the exponential is the response is exponentially increasing. Okay, it is having oscillations and the response is exponentially increasing. Next you are having single pair of roots on imaginary axis. Exactly you are having the roots on imaginary axis. So while taking the inverse Laplace transform, you will be getting A divided by S plus JB plus A divided by S minus JB. So it is equal to 1 divided by S plus JB and 1 divided by S minus JB. This A is constant. So you will be getting A into e to the power minus JB plus A into plus e to the power plus JB. So in simplification you will be getting 2A into cos BT. Cos BT can be written as sin BT plus 90. So here also the response is oscillatory. Here having double pairs of roots on imaginary axis. So here also the response is linearly increasing. The response is linearly increasing sinusoidal. Next location of you are having a root at origin and this is a response. This response is constant. You are having double root at origin. Here the response is linearly increasing with time. Now we are coming to the summary. If all the roots of the characteristic equation has negative parts, then the system is stable. If any root of the characteristic equation have positive real part, or if there is a repeated root on the imaginary axis, then the system is unstable. So what is the first condition for stable? If all the roots of the characteristic equation has negative real parts, then the system is stable. If any of the root of the characteristic equation have positive real part, or if there is a repeated root on imaginary axis, then the system is unstable. If the condition 1 is satisfied, except for the presence of one or more non-repeated roots on the imaginary axis, then the system is limitedly or marginally stable. So here please listen, this is a positive axis or real axis, this is a imaginary axis. So if you are having the roots on the left half of S spline, then it is stable. If you are having right half of S spline, it is unstable. If you are having the roots on the imaginary axis, then it is limitedly stable. Now we are going for Routh-Hurwitz criterion for stability. The Routh stability criterion can be stated as follows. the necessary and sufficient condition for stability is that all of the element in the first column of Routh array be positive. So the necessary and sufficient condition for stability is all element of the first column, this is column, first column of the Routh array must be positive. If this condition is not met, then the system is unstable and the number of sign changes in the elements of the first column of the Routh array corresponds to the number of roots of the characteristic equation in the right half of S-spline. So, what is the necessary and sufficient condition for stability? All the elements in the first column must be positive. If condition is not met, then the number of sign changes in the elements of the first column of the Routh array corresponds to the number of roots of the characteristic equation in the right half of S-spline. If the order of the first column element is plus, 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 minus, plus, then plus 2 minus is considered as one sign change and minus 2 plus is considered as another sign change. Construction of Routh array. Let the characteristic polynomial be a0 into s to the power n plus a1 into s to the power n minus 1 plus a2 into s to the power n minus 2 plus a3 into s to the power n minus 3 plus a to the power n minus 1 into s to the power 1 plus an into s to the power 0. Okay, this is nothing but the characteristic polynomial. The coefficient of the polynomial are arranged in two rows as shown in the below. First one is s to the power n, second one s to the power n minus 1. So a0, a2, a4, a6, a8. So here a1, a3, a5, a7. So this is the construction of Routh array. If n is even, then Sn row is formed by the coefficient of even order terms and S minus n1 row is formed by the coefficient of odd order terms. In the construction of Routh array, one may come across the following three cases. While constructing the Routh array, we are coming across three cases. First one is normal Routh array, that is non-zero elements in the first column of Routh array. Second case, a row of all zeros. Third one is first element of a row is 0 but some or other elements are not 0.